Ending world hunger sounds like the noblest of pursuits one can have, until you realize just how complicated it really is. Especially if you want to make changes that are sustainable and long-lasting. Did you know we produce enough food to feed all 7.5 billion people in the world, but even then, 1 in 9 people still go hungry every day? So, what do we do to change this? While there are tons of theories on how we can end world hunger, not all of them are bound to work because of how far-fetched they are. This is why in this video, we're going to talk about some of the most realistic methods to end world hunger once and for all. But before we start talking about solutions, what exactly do people mean when they say world hunger? World Hunger Fact: 193 countries in the world have signed an agreement towards ending world hunger by 2030. But how will that happen? With more than 2 billion people in the world not having access to safe and nutritious food, every single country on Earth will be affected by the scarcity of food. In fact, every year, about 20.5 million babies are born with low birth weight because their mothers didn't get proper nutrition. Hunger also causes stunted growth in 149 million children, which leads to their death in infancy. And if they somehow do survive, their growth and mental development remain stunted. Considering all of this, it's important to start taking action now and save the world from malnutrition. Working with policy. The first step in a global approach to solving world hunger is what experts call hunger action. Now, we already know that there is enough food in the world to feed everyone. The world's farmers produce enough food if evenly distributed to provide 3,500 calories per capita per day throughout the world. Yet hundreds of millions of people do not get enough to eat. The estimates vary from 400 million to 1,200 million, but in any case, that's more than enough to make sure that no one goes hungry. But why does this happen? The answer is simple: poverty. And the only way to tackle poverty is government intervention to make sure that the resources we already have are spread out evenly amongst everyone, instead of a few people who can afford them at high prices. The most sustainable way to deal with world hunger is for governments to design inclusive food policies and direct local efforts towards the problem of solving food shortage along with poverty, along with introducing programs that provide food to people living in underdeveloped areas. At the same time, developed countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US should target their foreign aid towards programs and organizations that work on ending hunger and poverty. Battling climate change. Climate change is proving to be one of the biggest reasons behind world hunger. When temperatures rise, crops don't grow the way they're supposed to. With water supplies shrinking in regions, we need to start thinking of new methods of agriculture to make sure that food production and availability aren't affected to the point where the whole world goes hungry. And the solution to that is climate-smart agriculture, which includes a number of practices that allow farmers to adapt and become more resilient to a less predictable climate. Things like diversifying crop varieties, conservation agriculture practices, and low-water sack gardens are shown to have better results on crop growth, which results in increased food production. Experts also believe that techniques like vertical farming could feed up to 10 billion people and make agriculture independent of the weather and need for land. Food donations. While it might be easy to believe that donations can't help the problem when it's at this point, but the truth is that every donation counts. A can of food may seem like a small step, but even a small step can make a huge difference in someone's life. One of the best ways to help end world hunger is to partner up with organizations and donate money towards food drives. Developed countries like the United States have played a huge part in helping countries like Kenya, Yemen, and Sudan by delivering over 4 million tons of food to nearly 100 million people each year in more than 80 countries. These donations not only buy food for people suffering from malnutrition, but also help to make more grassroots-level changes, such as helping farmers maintain their crops, buying seeds, and delivering them in time, all of which contribute to solving the problem of world hunger. While it's true that donations won't magically solve the problem of world hunger, but hey, we have to start from somewhere, right? Gender equality. The truth is that world hunger is definitely a gendered problem. And it's time we start treating it this way. Why? Well, because women make up almost half of the agricultural workforce in many of the countries where hunger is a problem. According to food security experts, if female farmers are given equal resources as their male counterparts, countries can actually increase production on their farms by 20 to 30%, which could in turn reduce the number of hungry people in the world by up to 150 million. Sounds like a win-win, right? Reducing food waste. The last and perhaps the most important fight we need to fight in order to end world hunger is to reduce the tons of food that we waste every day. Currently, 1/3 of all the food produced in the world is wasted. This means that over 1.3 billion tons of food that someone else could have eaten is simply chucked away. Pretty crazy, right? Producing this wasted food also wastes other natural resources, requiring an amount of water equal to the annual flow of Russia's Volga River and creating 3.3 billion tons of greenhouse gases. While food wastage is definitely a large-scale problem, countries like the USA, the UK, and Australia are known to waste the most food in the world. This is why it's important for them to work towards reducing their own waste and commit to the process on a national level. Considering the speed with which the world is being affected by the problem of hunger, private companies, NGOs, academic institutions have joined national governments with new agriculture and nutrition investments in response to solve world hunger. But it's important to understand that, because every community is different, it's important to find the right combination of solutions that will work for each individual. However, as challenging as it might seem, there are tons of small steps that we can all take and play our part in tackling the wicked problem of world hunger.